I do remember one story, and this was after I only been a recruiter for 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years at the time. And I was a contingency recruiter. And I know you know what a contingency recruiter is, but I mean, I didn't get paid unless the candidate accepted the offer and started.
Right.
And I remember on a Monday, a candidate told me he was going to take an offer, and this was in the electronics industry, and it was a pretty good job. I think it was plant manager again, but I'm not positive. And he told me on Monday he was going to take my offer, and this would have been about a $200K offer in today's dollars. So you're talking about a $60,000, $70,000 fee. Now, obviously, it wasn't that fee then, but it was in today's dollars, it was still 60, 70,000. Pure.
Sure.
Either on Monday I had it. If he didn't take it, I didn't get it. It was zero. So being contingency, you're rolling the dice a lot. But he told me on Monday, I'm taking your offer. He calls me on Wednesday and says, I'm not taking your offer. So basically, I lost $60,000 in 48 hours. And I was devastated. I mean, it was pretty crushing. And I said, what happened since we talked on Monday? He said, well, I got another offer yesterday, and it was for more money and closer to home and a better title. And I said, well, tell me a little bit about it. And I mean, I was kind of blown away. So it took me 5 or 10 minutes just to calm down to even ask the question, because I just lost $60,000, $70,000.
Right.
It was pretty devastating. And I don't know what made me say it, but as he described it, I said, you know, John, you're making a strategic decision using tactical information. And I just spouted that out just because out of pure, he said, what do you mean? I said, everything you've said about why you're taking this other job is what you get on the start date. Yes, it's a manufacturing industry. It's closer to home. We're talking 3 to 4% more money, and it's definitely a VP operations versus a plant manager. But think about long term. In 2 to 3, that's an old line manufacturing company. In 2 to 3 years, you're not going to be any better than you are on the start date. No better. You will not be worth a single dime more than you are on the day you start. On the other hand, you're going into this other job. I know the title is a little bit less, the money is a little bit less, the drive's a little bit more, but you're going into the state-of-the-art electronic assembly facility making displays. And this was when all computer displays, laptop displays in airports, we're going through a dramatic change from these old line video tubes to flat screens. I mean, this is really that evident. You're going to be in the state-of-the-art market in a new technology. The parent company is investing in this, and you've decided to walk away from that. You've just made a long-term strategic decision using short-term tactical information. And I think you're making a career mistake. And that's all I said. I didn't know and I was desperate. I wanted to make that placement. I was desperate. I knew that I had him to think about it. I didn't know that I'd get him to change his mind. Calls me the next morning and says, Lou, boy, I'm glad you gave me that speech. I'm going to accept your offer. So he took my offer. I said, thank God. I was ready to hug the guy with the phone, but neither here nor there. So it was a big fee. It was probably my biggest fee for that year. So it was very important. But more importantly, he calls me 9 months later. He says, Lou, best decision I ever made. I've just been made VP operations for all the Western region of the United States, 4 manufacturing facilities in Silicon Valley and Southern California. And I'm leading a new initiative to build 2 major facilities in China. That was when China was really just launching. He said it was the most important career decision. Don't make long-term decisions using short-term data. So I think, and that's what happens. This guy was a very, very, very capable guy. But when he didn't like the job he had. He was frustrated. So when you're trying to avoid pain, your goal is to get out of that pain, and you make short-term decisions. And that's what I don't like my job. I don't like my boss. I don't like this. Everybody makes short-term decisions, and that dominates what they do. Then once they get on the job, oh, why did I do that? It was, 2 to 3 months in the honeymoon period. It was great, but then I'm back to the same old, same old. And I think that's the hard. How do you force people to make long-term decisions? And it's hard to make long-term decisions. And even Tony Robbins talks about that. Most people make decisions to avoid pain, not to increase gain. So you kind of think of, and that's what happens in hiring. You change jobs because you're frustrated about something, but then you don't do the due diligence to do it right. You always think it's going to be a great career move, but you don't know. And I forced that knowing. I mean, literally, and me as a recruiter, when I give a 1-year guarantee, I have to be right. It's a business. Right. It's not personal. I don't care if I just don't want to do work over again or get the money back. So to me, I I'm religious about it because it's a business decision. What I can't understand is people take it casually. They change jobs like it's, I'll change jobs. I don't like this. I'll change jobs. And I think the internet has caused that attitude of let's cheapen work.